What's up, guys? This is Mr. Eldridge, and in today's lesson, we're going to look at the landmark Supreme Court case of Marbury versus Madison. So the background of this case arises in the final days of President John Adams's administration. In an effort to secure Federalist influence in the judiciary, Adams appointed several, quote, midnight judges under the Judiciary Act, including William Marbury as Justice of the Peace for the District of Columbia. The commissions for these appointments were signed and sealed, but not delivered before Thomas Jefferson took office. Jefferson's Secretary of State, James Madison, refused to deliver these commissions. Marbury petitioned the Supreme Court for a writ of mandamus. This is an order compelling Madison to deliver this commission, arguing that the Judiciary Act of 1789 gave the court authority to issue such writs. Now, this case presents several important questions. First, did Marbury have a legal right to his commissions? If so, was there a legal remedy or not? And most significantly, did the Supreme Court have the authority to issue that remedy through a writ of mandamus? These questions force the court to examine the balance of power between the judiciary and, of course, other branches of the federal government, and this idea of separation of powers. They needed to consider whether Congress could expand the court's original jurisdiction beyond what was stated in the Constitution. Now, the applicable law here is quite fascinating. Chief Justice John Marshall, writing for a unanimous court, ruled that Marbury did have a right to his commission, and that a writ of mandamus would normally be an appropriate remedy. However, Marshall found that the provision of the Judiciary Act of 1789, granting the Supreme Court the power to issue writs of mandamus in this issue, was unconstitutional. Article 3 of the Constitution strictly defines the court's original jurisdiction, and Congress cannot expand it by statute. This, of course, was the first time that the Supreme Court struck down a federal law as unconstitutional, establishing the principle of judicial review. This is the power of the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution and invalidate laws that conflict with it. Now, Marbury never received his commission. The decision in Marbury versus Madison is a landmark Supreme Court case in American constitutional law. It asserted the Supreme Court's role as co-equal branch of government with the authority to check the legislative and executive branches. Judicial review became a cornerstone of the court's function, ensuring that laws and executive actions remain consistent with the Constitution. The case fundamentally shaped the balance of power in the United States government and remains one of the most significant decisions in American legal history. Thank you so much for paying attention to this video. Hey, if you've not hit that button, go ahead and do so now. Thank you so much. Have a great day.